Well, good to have you with us this Monday morning. The National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa is threatening massive strike action. I understand it's over its demand for an increased travel allowance for its members working for Areyeng bus services in Tshwane. Let's find out where we are on this. Numsa's Phakamile, Hlubi-Majola joining us this morning. Phakamile, morning to you. Take me into where we are on this. What exactly are you demanding and what are the negotiations looking like?
Good morning, Gareth. Good morning to your viewers. Perhaps if you can just ask them to boost you a little bit because I'm struggling to hear you all of a sudden.
We'll do that. I'll ask if we can go a little bit higher on my side. Let me just repeat the question. It was just me asking what exactly is the demand and where are we in negotiations?
Our members at the three agencies that have been appointed by Areyeng, Areyeng being the service provider that provides the BRT services to the city of Tshwane, our members there are planning a total shutdown of those services if the city of Tshwane does not intervene to ensure that they are receiving transport allowance. We have a situation where there are three agencies. One is Extreme Tech, the other is TRT, the other is Tshwane Affected Investment Operations. Now, all three agencies are working in some aspects to do with the TRT bus operations. Right now, our members at Extreme Tech are on a strike because Extreme Tech is refusing to give transport allowance. TRT and Tshwane Affected Investment Operations are on the verge of strike action if they don't also adhere to the demand for proper and full transport allowance. This is because these are workers who are expected to start their shift at 4 in the morning. They knock off after 9 p.m. at night. Now, I don't have to tell you about the public transport situation in our country where it's impossible to get safe public transport at that time. Workers who are earning very, very low salaries are now forking out from their own money just to get to work. So this is a burning issue, and until it is resolved, we can expect an even bigger strike at TRT bus services.
We know just how much the cost of living has gone up as well. Just the basics of trying to get to work is getting more and more expensive, never mind those who rely on public transport. Phakamile, so as far as the demands are concerned, from 1,100 up to 2,500, what's the negotiations and engagements been like with the city so far, if any?
So let me break it down for you. Extreme Tech is offering 0 transport allowance, which is why workers are on strike. TRT currently offers workers 1,100 transport allowance. That's what they've been on since 2014. Workers, they are demanding that the transport allowance must be increased to 2,500 rand. Workers at Tshwane Affected Investment Operations are only receiving 600 rand transport allowance. And the demand for all three agencies, from workers in all three agencies, is a 2,500 rand transport allowance because they feel that this would go furthest in covering their expenses. To be frank with you, Gareth, we shouldn't even be on strike. The irony of a transport company not providing transport for workers is quite glaring in this situation. This could easily be resolved if these agencies were to allocate one of their buses to transport workers to and from work. There wouldn't even be a threat of a strike action. But because we're dealing with a hostile employer that does not take the Basic Conditions of Employment Act seriously, we are now on the verge of a total shutdown. We are hoping that the city will intervene in a meaningful way. They told us that they had summoned the owners of the services to a meeting over the weekend, and they've promised to respond to us in writing by Wednesday, 18 May, close of business, on our demands.
Just in closing, Phakamile, if you don't get the response that you are hoping for, when would this massive strike, I think is the word we used, a massive strike action get underway?
We can expect that we will be able to serve them with 48 hours notice. This is what our members have instructed us to do. We have already received the strike certificate. So really, the ball is in their court. They can solve the situation very quickly, very easily, by simply complying with the Basic Conditions of Employment Act.
I appreciate your time for the moment. Phakamile, Hlubi-Majola from Numsa joining us ahead of what could be a huge strike in the transport sector, a demand of an increase to 2,500 Rand for transport, a transport allowance, a travel allowance, currently sitting at around 1,100. But as Phakamile said, depending on which part of the organisation you're talking about, 1,100. Another is not offering any travel allowance at all. We'll keep a very close eye and get more reaction to that later in the week. Phakamile